Hello everyone, this is Ma'am Sheila, and today we are going to start discussing the Module 6 in the Learner's Manual. It is all about similarities, and the first topic is ratio and proportion. So a ratio is a comparison of two values or two quantities that can be expressed as quotient. For example, a class has 12 girls and 18 boys, then the ratio of girls to boys is 12 over 18. Or it can be expressed also as 12 is to 18. So you can express the ratio in two manners. You can write it in this one, 12 is to 18, or it can be expressed as quotient. Therefore, it can be written also as 12 over 18. And since it can be written as quotient, it can be expressed as an equivalent fraction. And since 12 and 18 are both divisible by 6, 12 divided by 6 is 2, and 18 divided by 6 is 3. Therefore, 12 over 18 or 12 is to 18 is equivalent to 2 is to 3. So the ratio of girls to boys, if you will be asked the ratio of girls to boys, then the ratio is 2 is to 3 or 2 over 3. And for example, you are asked to get the ratio of girls to class. You are about to get the ratio of girls to class. Based on here, the girls are 18. And how about the total number in class? Since there are 12 girls and 18 boys, therefore the class is, yes, it is equal to 30. And we can express it as an equivalent fraction by getting its lowest term. 12 and 30 are again both divisible by 6. So you have 12 divided by 6, that is 2, and 30 divided by 6 is 5. So the ratio of girls to class is 2 over 5. And also, for example, you are asked to get the ratio of class to boys. This time around, ang kinukuha is the ratio of class to boys. Again, the class is 30. You are going to start with the class over boys here. According here is 18. So that is 30 over 18, which can be expressed also sa lowest term, sa equivalent fraction. It is divisible again by 6. So 30 divided by 6 is 5, and 18 divided by 6 is 3. So the ratio of class to boys this time around is 5 is to 3. That is what we mean by ratio. Now, how about a proportion? A proportion is an equation stating that two ratios are equal. So again, if you have an equation with two equal ratios, then it is considered a proportion. Let us consider our example earlier. The ratio of girls to boys is 12 is to 18. And since the equivalent fraction into lowest term of 12 over 18 is 2 is to 3, we can say that these two ratios are actually equal. Now, one way of identifying whether an equation is a proportion is by the concept that the product of the extremes must be equal to the product of the means. Now, what are these extremes and means? If we are going to write 12 over 18 as 12 is to 18, equals, we will be writing 2 over 3 as 2 is to 3. Then, these two terms here, the first term and the last term, is what we call the extremes. And then the second term and the third term is what we call the means. Now, it is a proportion if the product of the extremes is equal to the product of the means. If we are going to get the product of the extremes, 12 times 3, obviously, the product of 12 times 3 is 36. And it is equal to the product of the means. What is the product of 18 and 2? Yes, 18 times 2 is also equal to 36. So if the product of the extremes is equal to the product of the means, then the equation is a proportion. Now, let us consider this. If I have 1 is to 2 equals 2 is to 1, is the equation a proportion? Okay, this is not a proportion because if we get the product of the extremes, 1 times 1, that is 1, and then the product of the means, 2 times 2, that is 4. And obviously, 1 is not equal to 4. So this is not a proportion. How about the second one? 2 is to 4 equals 4 is to 8. Is it a proportion? Yes, it is a proportion because if we get the product of the extremes, 2 times 8, that is 16. And the product of the means, 4 times 4, that is also 16. So the product of the extremes is equal to the product of the means. Therefore, this equation is a proportion. Now let us consider the following equation. Considering that the given equations here are actually proportion. Now let us find the unknown. Number 1, we have 2 is to 4 equals 8 is to x. To solve for the unknown x here, since it is a proportion, then we will be using the concept that the product of the extremes will be equal to the product of the means. And if we get the product of the extremes, 2 times x, that is 2x, and then 4 times 8, that is 32. Therefore, we will be having here 2x is equal to 32. A simple linear equation which can be solved by using multiplication property of equality. So if we do that, then we will be having x is equal to 32. 32 divided by 2 is 16. So the value of x is 16. Now, what if the ratio is written as fraction? 2 is to 4 is written as 2 over 4, and then 8 is to x is written as 8 over x. How do we solve the value of x or the unknown? If it is written as fraction or expressed as quotient, to solve for the unknown, you simply do cross multiplication. Starting with the unknown x here, you do cross multiplication. So you have 2 times x, that is 2x. And then cross multiplication again, 4 times 8, this is also equal to 32. You are going to notice that you have the same expression here. Then, if you are going to solve for x, you do the same thing. So x will be equal to 16. That is how are you going to solve a proportion. Now, let us consider example number 2. If it is written as a fraction, 2 over x equals x over 8. If we are going to use cross multiplication, let's start with the unknown. So, we have here x times x. What is x times x again? Yes, it is equal to x squared. Then, the other one, cross multiplication, 2 times 8. That is... yes, it is a 16. And obviously, the resulting equation here is a quadratic equation, which can be solved easily how? Yes, it can be solved easily by extracting the square root. If we extract the square root, then we will be having the square root of x squared is equal to the square root of 16. So we have here square root of x squared, law of radicals, number 1. So we will be having x here. And then the square root of 16 is 4. We are going to get only 4 and not negative 4. Because the original equation is this one and not a quadratic equation. Kung ang equation natin ay hindi naman talaga quadratic equation originally, then we are just going to get the principal root, which is positive 4. So we have here x is equal to 4. And if we are going to substitute it, if x is equal to 4, then we have 2 is to 4 equals 4 is to 8. Then, if we get the product of the extremes, 2 times 8 is 16, and then 4 times 4 is also 16. Therefore, x is equal to 4 is correct. Lastly, we have 12 over x minus 12 is equal to 3 over 4. Again, you can use cross multiplication. Mag-start tayo sa unknown. If you do cross multiplication, isulat lang natin. We will be having x multiplied by the quantity x minus 12. I have 3 rather multiplied by the quantity x minus 12 is equal to 12 times 4. Let us write it. 12 multiplied by 4. Let us simplify. You are going to use distributive property. So we have 3x minus 12 times 3 is 36 is equal to the product of 12 times 4, which is 48. Using APE, we have 3x equals, we have 48 plus 36. Let us get the sum. 48 plus 36 is equal to 84. Then to solve for x, divide both sides by 3. Cancel this out. So x is equal to 84 divided by 3 is actually 28. So the value of x is 28. I hope you get it. Now, let us answer some problems that involves ratio and proportion. For number 1, we have the problem. If 3 meters of a piña cloth cost 200 pesos, how much will 9 meters of the same cloth cost? I'll repeat. If 3 meters of a piña cloth cost 200 pesos, then how much will 9 meters of same cloth cost? If you have a problem like this, the first thing that you have to do is to identify the ratio of the two quantities or identify the quantities indicated in the problem. And as you can see here, 3 meters refers to the length of the cloth. Now, 200 pesos here refers to the cost of the cloth. So your ratio is either the ratio of length to cost or the other way around, the ratio of cost to length. But let us use the ratio of length to cost. Now, if we will be having the ratio of length to cost, let us look at the problem. The given is if you have 3 meters, then the cost will be 200 pesos. Then the ratio will be 3 over 200. This is the ratio of length to cost. And since the ratio that we use in the first one is length to cost, meaning to say the second ratio must be length to cost as well and not the other way around. So based on the question, how much will a 9 meters, o 9 meters daw, ibig sabihin, this time around, the length is 9 meters. So we have here 9 over how much will 9 meters of the same cloth cost. The unknown here is the cost of the 9 meters. So let us represent the cost of the 9 meters as x. So this will be our proportion. 3 over 200 is equal to 9 over x. And again, you do cross multiplication. Let's start with the unknown. So you have 3 times x. It will give us 3x. It will be equal to 9 times 200. That is equal to 1,800. A simple linear equation. Let us solve for x by dividing both sides by 3. So this will be cancelled out. So x is equal to the quotient of 1,800 divided by 3 is 600. Now what do we mean by 600? Answering the question, how much will 9 meters of the same cloth cost? Then our answer will be, therefore, a 9 meter cloth costs how much? Using the unit, the peso sign, it will cost 600 pesos. So our answer is 600 pesos. Now let us have problem number 2. If two angles are supplementary in the ratio of 5:7, find the measure of each angle. Number 1, again, if two angles are supplementary in the ratio of 5:7, find the measure of each angle. So I will be presenting you 2 ways to solve this problem. Let us have the first one, using the proportion, of course. The proportion is the ratio rather is 5:7. So we have here 5:7, 5:7. That is the ratio of the angles. Now what are the angles? According here, the two angles are supplementary. So we can express one of the angle as x. That would be angle 1. And we have here, if the two angles are supplementary, if one of the angle is represented by the variable x, how do we represent the other angle? From the word supplementary, it means the sum is equal to 180 degrees. Therefore, if one of the angle is represented by x, then the other angle is represented by 180 minus x. So using proportion, you can have it this way or you can write it as a fraction. If we write it as a fraction, let us have 5/7 is equal to x over 180 minus x. Then let us use cross multiplication to solve for this. We have 7 times x, that is 7x. It is equal to, let us multiply this. We have 5 multiplied by 180 minus x. Let us simplify further. We have 7x. Distributive property, 5 times 180 is 900 minus 5 times x is 5x. Let us use APE. We have 7x plus 5x is equal to 900. Then simplify 7x plus 5x, that is 12x equals 900. And of course, you need to divide both sides by 12 to solve for x. So if you get the quotient, 900 divided by 12, that is equal to 75 degrees. It means one of the angle is 75 degrees. And how do we get the other angle? That is 180 minus our x is 75, meaning to say, so this is our angle 1, yung x, that is 75. And how do we get angle 2? That is 180 minus x. So we have 180 minus 75. That is why angle 2 is equal to, yes, it would be equal to 105 degrees. So the two angles with a ratio of 5:7 that are supplementary are 75 degrees and 105 degrees. Now, that is one way of solving this kind of problem. Now, let us have another way. Now, if the ratio is 5:7, we can represent angle 1 as 5x, and then angle 2 will be 7x. We use the ratio 5:7. So, angle 1 is 5x, then angle 2 is 7x. And then knowing that the two angles are supplementary, then our equation will become angle 1 plus angle 2 is equal to 180. Then let us substitute. We have 5x plus 7x equals 180. Let us simplify. 5x plus 7x is 12x. We have 180. Of course, we need to divide this by 12 to solve for x. And 180 divided by 12, it is equal to, yes, it is equal to 15. And as we have written here, angle 1 is equal to 5x. Then substituting the value of x, which is 15. So we have 15 times 5, it is 75 degrees. Just like what we have here, 75 degrees. And of course, angle 2 is 7x. So you have 7 multiplied by the value of x, 15. 7 times 15. Yes, it is equal to 105. So, angle 2 is 105. So, tingnan nyo, you are going to arrive with the same answer. Both angle measures, we have 75 and 105. I hope you get it. Now, let us consider the last problem. Okay, so we have an illustration here. A certain type of tree always grows at the same rate throughout its life. So, pareho lang daw yung rate ng pag-grow ng dalawang tree throughout its life. Now, the first tree, 2 years na yung tree natin, it measures 20 meters in height. Now, the question is, if the other tree, whose rate of growing is the same as the first tree and it is 6 months, ang tinatanong, what is the height of the younger tree? Just like what we did in the first problem, we need to write the ratio, of course. What are the two quantities that we have here? Of course, 2 years, 6 months, it refers to the age of the tree. And of course, yung 20 meters, it refers to the height. So we can use the ratio of the age of the tree to the height of the tree. Now, let us use the first one. Ito yung may nawawala, the unknown. If we have age of the tree to height of the tree, then the ratio will be, let's start with the age, of course, that is 6 months. So 6 over the height is unknown, so we have here x. It is equal to, we need to get the age of this. But the given age of the older tree is 2 years. But we have here 6 months. Of course, we need to express years to months. And how many months do we have in 2 years? Yes, there are actually 24 months in 2 years. So, instead of having 2 here, we have to write 24. Ano? Bakit? Kasi months itong 6. So, dapat months din itong nasa kabilang ratio. And 2 years is equivalent to 24 months. So, you have 6 over x is equal to 24 over the height of the older tree is stated here, which is 20. And again, it is a proportion, so we need to cross multiply. We have 24x is equal to 6 times 20. Okay, 6 times 20, that is 120. And then solving for x, again, using MPE, cancel this out. So what is 120 divided by 24? Yet, this is equal to 5. So, which means that the younger tree measures 5 meters. So, the answer is 5 meters. But for example, you see here, 24 over 20, you have 6 over x. And then nakita nyo, ma'am, can I simplify 24 over 30? Over 20? Yes, of course. If you are going to write the equivalent fraction of this in lowest term, 24 and 20 are both divisible by 4. So 26 divided by 4, that would be 6. And then 20 divided by 4, that is 5. So if you want to simplify this lowest term, you can do so. And if you do that, you cross multiply, you have 6x equals 6 times 5, of course, is 30. Then you divide again by 6 to solve for the unknown. So 30 divided by 6 is also 5. You are going to notice that you are going to arrive with the same answer. And of course, you need to write the unit. So the height of the younger tree is 5 meters. I hope you get it. This is all about ratio and proportion. Thank you for watching.